Welcome back, True Seeker. Tuesday, December 4th, 2018. The top story today is that the Dow plummeted 799 points. And we've been talking about the same thing since October. Early in the month of October, we said, recall the Economist cover from 1988, saying, get ready for a one world currency. And it showed a phoenix rising out of burnt money, like a phoenix rises out of the ashes. And it had a gold coin around its neck with October and 10 written on the coin. Or it had two 10s on the coin, excuse me, reminiscent of the date 1010. And again, it was talking about the year 2018. If you missed my video on the tanking of Wall Street on October 10th, 2018, as projected by that Economist cover, please go back and watch that video. And you know what? While I'm at it, instead of just giving the advice, I realize a lot of people are unaware of how to do a search for a specific YouTube channel. So if you have a favorite YouTube channel and you want to know if they covered a topic, you search that channel name. Oh, my channel name's not Zachary K. Hubbard anymore. The first 17 channels were. Now it's Gematria Effect News. So what you would do is you would search the channel name, or if it's already in your subscription, you can just go click on it. And then when you pull up the channel, you go to videos, and then you have to look for the little magnifying glass that pops up right here. You see how this magnifying glass comes up? You search the keyword. So I'm just going to search economist. Make sure you spell right. And there it is. Boom. Pops up. January 9th, 1988. Have a number of videos on this cover. Anyway, please go back and watch these videos that I've done on the market, the House of Cards, what it has to do with Donald Trump, who was announced as the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the wall, the Berlin Wall. Again, his name's Trump, like Trump card. His presidency coming during the time of the hit show House of Cards. House of Cards about the presidency, also a term for a market that's on the verge of collapse. I've actually been talking about Donald Trump and the planned collapse of the economy, just something that's happened many times before in history, since 2015, 2016. For those of you who are newer here, I am on my 18th channel, so many videos of the past have been deleted due to Google censorship. Anyway, what I've been saying since October is expect a roller coaster, up and down with the market, because that's what markets have done historically before they collapsed. And we have seen absolutely that from October onward. October 10th, 2018 ended up being the third worst day in market performance history. I haven't seen it officially, but I believe today with this 799-point loss, it's going to be very close, you know, like around the fourth worst day in history. So I've taught people something very simple. When you see these epic collapses in the market, apply this knowledge of Gematria, and in the time of the Trump presidency, measure from Trump's birthday to the date of the incident. So let's just do this in real time. Let's just do it like I was doing a fresh decode. Donald Trump birthday is what I'm going to type in here. It's June 14th, the same day as the flag, right? So then what we want is the date duration calculator. June 14th to today, 2018, June 14th, 2018 to today, December 4th, 2018. I'm going to uncheck this box. We'll see that today is 173 days after Trump's birthday. If you count the full span, it's 174. And both numbers absolutely matter in regards to the market. So 173, what that number is, it's the 40th prime number. And if you don't know your prime numbers off the top of your head, which most people don't, Derek's website here, Gematrinator, you type in a number. Again, let me do that slower, just for people to see that. You go to Tools, you go to Number Properties, then you just type in the number, 173. You come down to Get Properties. Let me zoom it out. And it'll tell you if it's a prime number. Yes, 173 is. It's the 40th prime. So what's 40? Well, because I do this so much, I just know right away that market equals 40. All of these numbers are relevant to the market. You know, the passing of Herbert Walker at age 94. What are they doing tomorrow? Tomorrow, the market won't be open after this historic collapse. It's closed for the death of 94-year-old George Herbert Walker Bush. And don't forget, when his son was president, W. Shrub Jr., when he was president, they had one of these planned collapses. And then what they do, they took our tax money and bailed out these corporate tyrants, these banker tyrants that rule over us and exploit us every single day. So anyway, market. 173 days after Trump's birthday, the 40th prime, the market tanks. Donald Trump is the symbolism of the market tanking. Market 94, the day before the market shut down for the 94-year-old crook, thief, liar, fraud, Herbert Walker Bush. How about 68? We've talked about this many times. The Apprentice equals 68. Donald John Trump equals 68. Even the way he spells his author name, Donald J. Trump, 68. The market had a really rough day, the day leaving 68 days left in the year, which is another video we covered. What was that? 41 days ago today. Today's the day that leaves 27 days left in the year. So, what about 174? Again, this was 173 days after Trump's birthday, or a span of 174 days. Number of the beast equals 174. Okay? And the number of the beast is 666, right? I want you to see that Dow Jones sums to 33. Anything that sums to 111 in the ordinal ciphers will have a Sumerian value of 666. And recall earlier this year, February 2nd, the Dow Jones fell 666 points. February 2nd is the 33rd day of the year. So 666, the number of the beast, the Dow Jones fell 666 points on the 33rd day of the year, and not by accident. There's rhyme and reason to all of these numbers and all of these riddles. If you've read my book, there's a lot of symbolism with 666 in currency, and it comes from the Bible. The 666 talents of gold from King Solomon. Look up your Bible verses if you don't know. So anyway, this is why the market has had this very terrible day today. It's connected to Donald Trump. It's also connected to the market being shut down tomorrow. We'll see how it recovers Thursday when it comes back. Will it fall even more? Will it rebound? It's hard to say because it's the time of the roller coaster. Just understand the overall trend is down. And that's the other thing. The market should have never been this high in the first place. It was only brought up this high for the planned collapse to make it seem all the more severe. All right, so we're going to go over other news headlines today. But first, I just want to go over this day in history. I'm also going to end this video by calling Dianne Feinstein's office. I want to remind her that the crimes she has participated in, they're not forgotten, and they're now more understood more clearly than they ever have been since the 40 years ago that it happened. Dianne Feinstein became the mayor of San Francisco on this day in history, and we're going to talk about why. And I'm going to call her office and let them know that we know why. But first, before that happened, December 4th, 1783, George Washington had a little ritual by the numbers. Today, December 4th, is the 338th day of the year, leaving 27 days remaining. So, George Washington said goodbye to the Continental Army after the conclusion of the Revolutionary War. If you have not read my book, it's linked in the description of every video. I show how all of the wars in our history books, especially all the ones related to America, have been started and ended on a date that is specific to this code and knowledge that we talk about. No mistake about it. And as I say in the book many times over, from before this nation was established, things have been done by this code. This code's important to Masonry. The founders of this nation were largely Masons, including George Washington. So the American Revolutionary War ended September 3rd, 1783. And George W., the real one, said goodbye to the Continental Army exactly a span of 93 days later. And he said goodbye in New York, the land of 39 and 93. Consider September 3rd, the day the war ended, can be written 3/9 or 9/3. But what is 93? It's the number that symbolizes time. It's a number that time rituals circle again and again. And in this study, 93 symbolizes Saturn. Saturn to the occult is the keeper of time. Again, if you've read my book, the words related to Saturn and time that connect through 93 are well established. You really want to read that book if you haven't. Make you a lot more competent in this knowledge. Where they had this farewell party, had fitting gematria. 167 is the 39th prime number. Almost everything in New York sums to 39. New York equals 39. Empire's 39. NY's 39. NYC's 39. New York, New York is 39. Again, you'll only see this if you understand the four base ciphers. New York, 39. NY, 39. NYC, 39. New York, 3993. You see? It's the Empire State. They hosted the World's Fair in 39. The United Nations there is 39 floors tall. Every single New York Super Bowl won. 4 by the Giants, 1 by the Jets. They all come back to 39. The Jets won their only one 16-7, like 167, the 39th prime. The Giants, who've won them all in connection to 39, their name is G-Men 39. So, and there's just a whole lot more to that list. You know, the first governor of New York has the same birthday as New York, July 26th. His name was George 39. His last name was Clinton 39. He was born in 1739. I could go on and on. So anyway, they met in a tavern on a date with 26 numerology. If you've read my book, the first chapter is why are there 26 letters in the English alphabet? Very special number. But understand everything about what's reported in this history book about this meeting by the numbers. 59, Freemasonry equals 59 in Hebrew and English. 211, Mason in Jewish gematria equals 211. It's the 47th prime, like the 47 degrees on the Freemason compass. 85 has a lot of different meaning, connecting to the Templars, Masons of their time, the reflection of 58, another big Freemasonry number. Anyhow. Enough on that event. Let's talk about Dianne Feinstein. She became the first female mayor of San Francisco on this day in history. And hold on, need to pull up the Gematria Scottish Rite here. Notice with the alphabetic order, Scottish Rite's 165. With the reverse alphabetic order, it's 159. That's why you want to know all ciphers. The day that Feinstein became mayor was 165 days after her 45th birthday. And she became mayor because the sitting mayor was assassinated on November 27th, 159 days after her birthday. Now, consider that Dianne Feinstein happens to be one of the chosen ones. And you know what I mean when I say the chosen ones, right? Her middle name's Goldman, you know, jewelry. You follow, right? Anyway, this code of letters and numbers is largely important to the chosen ones. It's also important to Freemasonry, and the most chosen one branch of Freemasonry, or can we just say Jewish, is the Scottish Rite. It's not a conspiracy theory or some false statement. It's a fact. The Scottish Rite is mostly Jewish. So anyway, what are the odds that she takes office 165 days after her birthday? The sitting mayor is assassinated 159 days after his birthday. The date she takes office is a date with 113 numerology. Scottish equals 113. A lot of things that have to do with dishonesty equal 113. In the Talmud, it says the chosen ones can lie to us. This whole thing is a lie. But with regards to her being 45 years old and her taking office on this day, December 4th, the day leaving 27 days left in the year, after the mayor was assassinated on November 27th. Notice, ritual 27 and 45. How perfect. Meyer 27, 27, both reduction ciphers, forwards and backwards. I wish that was all. This man was killed on the 331st day of the year. That's the 67th prime. Blood sacrifice 67. That's the day leaving 34 days left in the year. Murder 34. 331 is also 133 in reverse, and government is 133. Now notice, December 4th, let me come back up here and show you. December 4th is the 338th day of the year, right? Leaving 27 days remaining. Look at who she replaced. Look at his name, Gematria. George Richard Moscone equals 338. This reminds me of when Ed Lee supposedly dropped dead and London Breed replaced him the other year. It was the same exact type of thing. We covered it then. We covered it a number of times before. His name, George Richard Moscone, 202, also Gematria, just like San Francisco. And I suppose I should have done the same thing with Dianne Feinstein, but I just left it there. So I'm sure there's even more to the riddle. But it's not hard to see what's really going on in this world. So we'll be calling Dianne Feinstein's office to let them know that we know. And also on this day in history, 1991, understand, news, government, you know, the news might as well be the fourth branch of government. There's no separation. They all work for the same agenda. Well, okay, I guess technically you're watching a news broadcast from an independent source here, but you know what I mean when I say news. The mainstream media, the major publications, what dominates the printed papers, the press, the magazines, the television, the radio, that might as well be the fourth branch of government. It might as well be the propaganda branch, the propagandists. So in 1991, Associated Press correspondent Terry Anderson, the longest held of the Western hostages in Lebanon, was released after nearly 7 years in captivity. The original Pan American World Airways ceased operations. So this is connected to a bigger story, but just notice he was hostage in Lebanon, 27, on the day leaving 27 days left in the year. I'm just going to answer a question here that somebody's probably asking. People always ask this. They say, yeah, but you're just doing this in English. I really hate when people write that because I'm like, do these people have a brain? What's the language of the world? What's the language that people learn to speak all over the world? You know, people always start making these silly arguments. Is this true in Portuguese? Is it true in, it's like, is the whole world speaking Portuguese? No, the whole world speaking English. So that's why it matters that it's all coded in English, because it's the language that's printed all over the world. There's no other language that's true of. So anyway, English. That's why it matters. You guys should understand that before it even comes out of your mouth. You know, just common sense. So anyhow, this Terry Anderson, look at what day he was born on, the 27th. Oh, he was born in the year 47 too. News 47, signature number of the gang. Terry was 31 years old at the time. And no, actually, I take that back. That's not true. I was stuck on 78. Okay, that's not true. But this news story was to censor or to, shame and propagandize Islam. All part of the ongoing agenda. You know, the greatest enemy religion of Israel. Islam has that Gematria 27. Also on this day in history, the Mars Pathfinder set off. December 4th, it would land on Mars on July 4th. And what a day to land on planet Mars. What a day. Planet Mars. See this Gematria 38 right here? When there's an S in a word, S can be 10 or 1. If you make S 10, planet Mars is 47. And don't forget what they did on July 4th, 2016. July 4th, a date that can be written 4/7. July 4th, 2016 was 7 plus 4 plus 20 plus 16, 47 date numerology. That's when the Juno probe landed on Jupiter and Google kept up their artwork all day that read Goy very clearly. You know? So, anyway, NASA, controlled by the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, everything they do by the numbers. You can understand why the landing was July 4th. As for it taking off on December 4th, 12 plus 4 is a date with 16 numerology. 16 equals 96, like Freemason. Also, from December 4th to July 4th was a span of 213 days. Nimrod equals 213, said to be the world's first Freemason, the builder of the Tower of Babel. It's also 30 weeks and 3 days, a bit like 33 Masonry, Secrecy Order, Federal. They're all 33, number that comes up again and again with the space program. There's probably a greater reason that it took off on December 4th. I just thought about this very quickly. But the landing date of July 4th, that one was easy to understand. Of course, just in case you're new here, just want to go back to the two original ciphers that I taught for years, the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Masonic 74, Jewish 74, Gematria 74. That's practice coding numbers into words. English 74. This is occult knowledge 74, occult 74. Holidays 74, and Independence Day. I can spell independence. There it is. Independence Day is 74. So these numbers, they're symbolic. They're used ritualistically, day after day, from July 4th, 1776, even before that, all the way up to the present. Also in the news today, Bob Corker now says the Saudi prince monitored and ordered the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. And I've covered this story since the day it broke, October 11, 2018, showing how it was news by the numbers then, all the way up to the present. It was Bob Corker who started the story October 11, 2018. It's Bob Corker again today with the latest details. Notice the emphasis on monitored, 113, like mainstream, like dishonest, like not true, like fiction, like bullshit. Number they code on everything. From October 11th, 2018 to today is 55 days. And what does Bob Corker equal? 55. It was Bob Corker then. This is the first time I've seen him speak since, 55 days later, and not by accident. And as we covered the day of, the story broke with 59 numerology. Jamal Khashoggi equals 59, like Freemasonry, which sums to 59 in Hebrew and English, like killing Jewish Gematria. It's also a date with numerology of 41, Saudi Arabia, Khashoggi 41. And a lot of overlap there in numbers with Saudi Arabia and Khashoggi. And anyway, Bob Corker. This news came 49 days after his birthday when it first broke. His full name, 137, like Washington, D.C., like government, like morals and dogma, like authority, like our 137th, 33rd prime. So anyway, just understand all these people are agents, and they're all playing their part. The 49 mattered because Washington's 49. Story about a journalist, 49. Khashoggi's also 49. So again, you got to see all four base ciphers to see how all the pieces of the story fit together. And it's not cherry picking, it's just understanding the code and seeing how it's used. It wouldn't all fit together so perfectly every single day if it were any other way. You guys catch this story about George H.W. Bush and all of his socks? The Washington Post wrote this yesterday, how he's going to be buried in these pair of socks and how he was a socks man. Just realize everything they're putting before you, there's some rhyme and reason to it. Herbert Walker was number 41. 41's the 13th prime, and socks equals 13. Just like how USA equals 41, we're the nation with 13 stripes on the flag. We began with 13 colonies. Yada, yada, yada. 13 all over our dollar bills, the Masonic symbolism. Also put out this news yesterday with the 53-day numerology. Tribute to George Bush. Another death in the news, another 47-year-old. Markus Beyer, boxing world champion, dies at age 47. He died of severe illness. It looked like he had the flu and then he just dropped dead. And for years, I've been educating about how so many people in this world are killed purposefully with arsenic poisoning. Arsenic, when you are poisoned with it, it looks like you have the flu and then you die. And pay attention to how often there are these news stories of people getting ill very rapidly and dying. The average person dies in 3 days or less when they're given a lethal dose of arsenic. By the way, arsenic is the 33rd element on the periodic table. This man died December 3rd, 18, a date with 33 numerology. Ill equals 33, like arsenic. Makes you appear ill, and then you die. This man was born on the 118th day of the year. Wasn't I just talking about the death of Kim Porter, who was reported to have died at the age of 47 with all the 118s in connection to her death? This man born on the 118th day. In Jewish Gematria, death, 118. That was probably fateful, probably why he was chosen in part for this ritual. He died on the day leaving 28 days left in the year. His surname equals 28. The word kill has Gematria of 28. From his death to his upcoming 48th birthday is 147 days. Freemason has Gematria of 147 and 48. Freemasonry dominates the world of boxing. Can you learn this code? You can see why every big boxing match is when it is. We just had what's his name? Wilder versus Fury this weekend. Wilder was going for his 41st win on his 41st day of his age. It ended up being a draw, 113 to 113. Where have I seen those numbers? This man in his name, Markus Beyer, 48. His death synced up with his 48th birthday with the Freemason numbers. 159 like Scottish Rite. Marcus, fateful numbers, 83 and 79 like murder, 43 like killing, 55 like sacrifice. So, RIP to this man. Again, that's why I have that promotion or that campaign. What is 47? What is 47? If you just start to think about the number, you just realize it comes up again and again and again. Endless cycle. Urban Meyer announced he would retire today. Oh, I wonder why Urban Meyer announced that today. Today is 147 days after Urban Meyer's birthday, or it's a span of 148 days. Familiar numbers, right? With regards to it being his 148th day, Urban Meyer's 148. So what a day to announce his retirement. It's also 20 weeks in one day, like 211, the 47th prime. He's coaching in Ohio 47. The beginning of the year, we talked about the big ritual with him in 81. Guess we can revisit that real quick. Remember on August 1st, Obama endorsed 81 candidates on this day. There were a number of other 81 stories. Urban Meyer had coached 81 games with Ohio State at this point. And here's his stats at the beginning of the season. Coached 81 games with Ohio State when all this went down on 8-1. Urban Meyer also has the 81 birth numerology. Scandal has the Gematria overlap with ritual. If you use the exception on S, scandal becomes 27 instead of 18. Urban Meyer born 7/10/64, 7 plus 10 plus 64, 81. News came 22 days after his birthday, like how 22 is the master builder number. Hey, speaking of which, if you write out master builder with the alphabetic order, it sums to 147. Today's news is 147 days after his birthday. Remember, the whole thing was over his assistant coach, Zach Smith, who was guilty of the domestic abuse. So anyway, the whole thing was a big ritual by the numbers. Administrative leave, what he was put on equals 83 like football. Guess what his next win's going to be? Can get a load of those numbers, 83, because his next win will be his 83rd with Ohio State and his 187th all time. Notice football is 83, Ohio and Satanics 187. Notice that with Florida, he finished with 65 wins. What do you think Florida equals? 65. The reason you want to know the reverse is because with Utah, he finished with 22 wins. You'd only be able to see that knowing reverse gematria. So how perfect? 65 with Florida, 22 with Utah. Bowling Green. Let me see what Bowling Green is in numbers. Bowling Green is 58 like Freemasonry. And remember, Freemasonry is also 59 in Hebrew and English. 59 is the 17th prime. The word Mason is 17. It's why modern Masonry began June 24th, 1717. So anyway, probably the reason he finished was 17 wins with Bowling Green. But you can just see, you can go through all your favorite coaches in history and just see that the same rituals are done across the board. This is how the world of sports is scripted from college to pro. It's how your daily news is scripted. It's how your market's contrived. It's how your elections are rigged. It's how your celebrities are murdered. This is the code. And again, if you want to learn the code, I put together a book that's nearly 800 pages that's only $5. Guarantee you'll learn more from that book than you ever learned from any of your university programs. I don't care where you went to school or what you learned. You'll learn more from this book about what's going on in the world than you ever learned before. For $5. You can't beat it. It's $5 because I want you to have it. I want you to have the knowledge. I want you to have the knowledge because I'm trying to lead a movement to wake up the masses. It's why I did this for 5 years for free, for not a penny back. Just spent all my own money putting out the message because I thought I'd wake up enough people to start the revolution, to end the tyranny. I was pipe dreaming, literally. So anyway, $5 moderate contribution for a book that took me 5 years to write. Teach you a world of information. That was weird. There was some loud bang in this room. I was like, what is that? I don't know what that was. Anyway, somebody called me this weekend and they said, Zach, Q said that, I think I put it up here. I think I got it up here. There it is. Somebody called me and said, hey, Zach, can you look up this tweet from James Comey on November 14th? All the Q people are going, Bush died on November 14th because James Comey tweeted about his dead dog, Benji. And, I think it's there's a leap of faith there to say that this tweet was proof that George Bush was put to death on November 14th. But then again, we are talking about people involved in secret societies, which includes James Comey. The 6'8" Comey versus the comb over. Those were things we covered very thoroughly in times past. That whole thing with James Comey versus the chump was all by the numbers. But this story about James Comey's tweet being evidence that Bush was put to death on November 14th, this isn't something you can share with anybody and they're really going to take you seriously. And again, I'm not a big fan of Q. Q's told people that Donald Trump's here to fight the New World Order, which is a load of baloney. And hold on. I want to, let me see. Let me get this comment up on the screen. Let me get it nice and big. Here we go, from Pat. I wanted to address this comment from Pat, make sure everybody can read it. So Pat wrote, oh, sorry, I misjudged you. And I actually don't even know what she was responding to because in this video that she responded to, I was just talking about the death of Bush by the numbers. I didn't talk about Trump at all. But she wrote, oh, sorry, I misjudged you. I thought you were for our president, but I see you are among the idiots who do not believe in God and think our president is evil. So it's like, I'm just like, I don't know what she's talking about. I do believe in God. It's one of the only things I believe in. But anyway, she writes, think our president is evil. May the Lord himself educate you. Satan is not in control of our country, not anymore. God's army stood up and prayed, and Donald Trump was put in power. None of the devils of hell can prevent that. I will not watch any more of your propaganda videos, though I do think the Bushes are evil. So I'm just like, okay. She must have watched another video and then came and commented on this video. I obviously do not like Donald Trump. And what Pat probably hasn't watched is my videos showing all the people that were ritually sacrificed for Donald Trump for his rigged presidency, just like has been done for all of these people in office. Obama's father, right on down the line. It's been the same story throughout history. What just happened to George Herbert Walker Bush is just part of the ongoing plan. And to believe that God put Trump in office, I have to believe that you are blind and your God is Satan. I mean, what about Donald Trump is divine to you? Is it that he said that because he's rich, he can grab women by the pussy? I know there are some women in this world that are self-loathing, have no confidence, like a man that beats them up, like a man that cheats on them, likes a man that treats them like shit. I actually know that those women are fairly common. There's a lot of women, there's something with their psychology. They like to be shit all over, literally. And I imagine that Pat Melton is one of these women, because how else could you like a man that says he has the right to grab any woman by the pussy? And, not only that, but in that conversation that was put out, of course, he was talking to one of the Bushes, right? The whole thing was probably contrived, but still, even still, I mean, this is the information you have to work with about the man. In that conversation, he said he doesn't even care if a woman's married. He'll still go do whatever he wants to him. So he doesn't even respect marriage. So, that's just one thing. That's just one thing about Trump. Then there's all the other things about how he says things and then denies that he said it. So he's not honest. He's not straightforward. He said that his dad gave him $1 million. No big deal way back when $1 million was pretty much like tens of million dollars today in terms of how inflation's impacted money. But then it wasn't even just $1 million that his dad gave him. It was a lot of money. It was tens of millions of dollars back then, which is like billions of dollars today. And then think about that. Imagine being given that much money and then losing it all so that you had to go and file for bankruptcy multiple times and have poor people, probably like Pat Melton. Honestly, like where I came from, I come from poor people. I'm not poor anymore, but I'm not rich. I'm definitely, middle class. So, I definitely come from a poor background. I grew up in probably the shittiest neighborhood you could live in when I grew up in Portland, Oregon. And, my parents never had anything. I had to pay for all my own stuff growing up. I had to work my own ass off. But, Donald Trump, I mean, I just don't know what's godly about this man. Liar, pervert. There's nothing divine about him. Fraud. Plus, the whole election was rigged for him. I guess Pat Melton and the Q supporters, they just look at, you guys will chase these Q rabbit holes that don't make any sense all day and take them as gospel. But then I show you how, where's Donald Trump talking to the sheep? Where's this at? Do you think this is a joke here? You guys can all do a Google search and watch this commercial. The last time I showed this commercial, I got a copyright strike, so I haven't been showing it anymore. But this is from 2009, Donald Trump wearing the same suit and tie that he wore for election night. In this commercial, he talks about being born for the job. He's talking to sheep on pillars with the numbers 9 and 11. And his last dialogue from Trump's mouth is looking good, number 9, looking good. Now, understand, when you add 1 through 9 together, it equals 45, like how he's the 45th president. And again, he was announced as the 45th president on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And I want you to notice that Berlin Wall is 45. It's also 63. That commercial they're talking to sheep is for Serta mattresses. Serta is also 63. The reason that matters is because 2016, the year he became president-elect, that's the 63rd triangular number. 2009, looking good, number 9, 45, 63. You see how this comes together? Plus, I don't know if Pat can even, well, she must be able to read. She wrote these sentences. But Pat, if you go read my book, I have example after example of all of the predictive programming by the numbers that foreshadowed that Trump would win the 58th U.S. presidential election. Okay? This man was not elected. These elections are all illegitimate. They're all rigged. They're all corrupt. They're all based on lies. Everybody who votes validates the lie. Everybody who does what you're doing, Pat, validates the lie, And again, I just don't know where you people come from. Donald Trump from God? I just don't get it. And you guys, for all the people who hate on me because I'm honest about things, I can't tell you how many people are on YouTube that pretend to be religious who aren't. When I talked to Adam Green on the phone, he went off on this diatribe about how much he hates Christianity and religious people. I see how in his video he tries to pretend like he's a Christian. You know, I wish I would have recorded my conversation with Adam Green and played it to people. He laughed about how his followers, the reason they follow him is because he changed his graphics to look like Fox News and he captured the Fox News community. So, anyway, a lot of you get played by people who don't even have the beliefs that you think they have. What have I always said? I've always said I believe in God, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. I'm simple. I believe in the golden rule. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. If somebody smacks you in the face too many times, though, smack them back. That's my belief system. So anyway, I just noticed growing up that a lot of people who pretend to be Christian or who think they're Christian and godly, they're really like the worst people on the planet. You know, Pat seems to be an example of these types of people. Most of the religious people I noticed growing up were racist, hated everyone who didn't believe the same as them, were ignorant, didn't know what they were talking about. Pretty sure that's who Pat is. So, Pat, I'm going to give you some advice. Wake up. And another thing, Pat, stop brushing your teeth with mustard. Try out some hydrogen peroxide. Make those things pearly whites. You'll look a little cuter. So anyway, coming back to these cues, I got trolled by a cue today, you guys. I had a guy call me yesterday. It's why I'm doing this live stream right now. Normally I do this earlier in the day. I had this guy reach out to me from London, and he said he wanted to share and talk about all these things, and he asked if I would have him on as a guest. And since he made the effort and he seemed well presented yesterday when I talked to him, I said I would. And then today he came on and made a mockery of my show and talked nonsense and then took some stabs at me and then let it be known that he was a Q supporter. And it's what's funny is yesterday he was criticizing the Q movement. Then today he was a Q supporter and said that I'd have a bigger following if, I supported the Q thing. So my guess is that guy was an agent and part of this Q psyop operation. And that's why he did what he did to me today on my live stream on Patreon, which again, I apologize to everyone that it even happened. I hate that there's people in the world who pretend to be something and then they just do it just to screw with you. Like, I would never do that to somebody. If I didn't like somebody, I'd go on and have an honest conversation or debate, not try to sneak in and then, pull a whole bunch of shenanigans like what happened earlier today on my podcast by a guy who's for Q. So anyway, my whole thing about Q, the point I want to make is they're leading you guys down rabbit holes that lead to nowhere. And if you share these rabbit holes with other people, they're just going to be like, okay, well, what's that really prove? James Comey's dog Benji died, so that's proof that Herbert Walker died on that day. Now, understand, I'm also saying that, maybe Q's right about this. Maybe this really was code that Herbert Walker was killed on this day and they didn't wait to release the information until November 30th by the numbers. I've often theorized that they probably are killing these people before and then releasing the news on the most perfect date for the ritual. And what did I tell you guys? I said that Herbert Walker would be dead at age 94 before the end of the 11th month. Right. Again. And I said he would die by a certain set of numbers. And every single number that I said he would die by, he did die by, because there was a historical pattern of family members dying by those same set of numbers. And all of George Herbert Walker's Bush, all of his life and legacy being guided by those same numbers. That's the way it works. So the difference between my work and Q is that I give you very logical patterns that you can follow and use every single day. Q gives you a new puzzle to go chase every single day that essentially amounts to nothing. It's like you're on an Easter egg hunt that at the end of the day, leads you nowhere. Actually, it leads you down the wrong path, because Q is also educating you that Trump's here to fight the New World Order, which is a load of BS. All right. Real quick, remember the California wildfires. They began November 8th. Paradise, California equals 118. It was wiped out November 8th. Los Angeles, California equals 118. They were severely impacted by these fires. Something else I noticed using the English extended cipher, Los Angeles, California equals 647, the 118th prime. So Los Angeles actually has two connections to this number. You know, you Lakers fans, you recently saw your team fall to 11-8. Anyhow, that's not by accident. All the world of sports scripted by this code too. But what 118 is, again and again, is it's the number of death. And they said these were the deadliest fires in California history. Just like how we talked about the boxer a minute ago, born on the 118th day of the year. So I just noticed the latest headline out of this story is that the fires have bankrupted an insurance company, Merced Property and Casualty Company, which means that the big insurance companies are only going to get bigger because they're going to end up getting the customers from this smaller company. And I couldn't help but notice that this company was established 112 years ago because the name of their company equals 112. So, you know, call it a coincidence, but the real point I wanted to make here is that all of these disasters, there's just so many agenda items. People have pointed out that the fires happened along where they plan to build a new rail line, so they're clearing property out of the way to make the path for the rail line. That makes sense to me. You know, there's all sorts of financial gain from this. Some people lose their real estate, other people gain it. That's financial. I mean, most things in this world come back to money. An insurance company's out of business. Now one of the bigger corporate giants will eat it up. I wish I could remember off the top of my head what insurance company it was that had the commercial from not too many years ago where in the background you could clearly see a portrait of a man up on the wall with his apron on, his Masonic apron. So, you know, just a reminder who runs the show. It's the Masons from here to there. Also, last night, this headline emerged. The company that owns Marlboro thinking about buying out Kronos, a marijuana company out of Canada. Kronos, named for Saturn, which has to do with time. This news came December 3rd, 18, a date with 33 numerology. Kronos is 33, so is Ganja, so is Mary Jane. A few names for marijuana there. And the name of the company buying out Kronos is Altria. That's who owns Marlboro. Notice their name equals 47, like time. And again, Kronos is Saturn, the keeper of time. So I thought, how perfect that they're buying out this company. And of course, just a little more reporting by the numbers. You get this announcement on the date with the fitting numerology. Again, every single day, you just apply this code. In moments, you can see how the headlines are contrived. So what I want to do now is I want to call Dianne Feinstein's office, and I want to talk about, make sure I got my new notes set up here. I want to talk about her becoming mayor on this day, replacing George Richard Moscone. Let me close some windows here. All right, here we go. Let me pull open the phone here, dial up. I hope they're not closed yet. Calling the San Francisco office, 415-393-0707.
Thank you for calling the office of U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein. We are unable to take your call at this time. Our office is either closed or experiencing a high volume of calls. To speak with a member of our staff, please call back between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you'd like to leave a comment for the Senator, please leave a brief message after the tone and include your zip code. If you're calling to request casework assistance, you may visit the Senator's website at feinstein.senate.gov. If you would like a written response from the Senator regarding a policy issue, please write to Senator Feinstein's Washington, D.C. office. Thank you again for calling the office of U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Hi, this message is for Dianne Feinstein. It is December 4th, 2018. 40 years ago today, she became the mayor of San Francisco after the assassination of George Richard Moscone. And I'd like to let her know that we know what really went on that day. And I'm hoping she'll call me back because I have a question which I'll get to. So if you're listening to this and you're not Dianne, please take notes and please deliver this message to her because she needs to know that people know what's really going on in the world. The man who was murdered, George Richard Moscone, his name has a numerical value of 338, like how today, December 4th, is the 338th day of the year, the day that Dianne replaced him. And this practice of coding numbers into words is important to Masonry, especially the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which is the most Jewish branch. And we know Dianne is a lovely Jewish woman. From her birthday to her taking her seat was 165 days, and Scottish Rite equals 165. From her taking her seat, from her birthday to the assassination of the mayor, November 27th, was 159 days. Scottish Rite also has a numerical value of 159. Those are the two key numbers, 165 and 159. And the word mayor equals 27. He was killed on the 27th of November, and she took her seat on the day, leaving 27 days left in the year. What are the odds? In this code, ritual equals 27 as well as 45. She was 45 years old. What are the odds? And the thing is, I've been educating people about how Dianne Feinstein and the other members of our government operate by this code on a daily basis. Everything Feinstein did with the whole Kavanaugh show was by this code. The people of the world are waking up and there will be justice. Dianne's an old woman, her days are numbered. What would be a courageous effort from Dianne is to come forward and admit that this has been going on and the American people have been lied to for a very long time. That might even save her soul. So if you can please get that message to Dianne, I'd love it. If she could call me back, my number is 509-731-0567. 509-731-0567. I'd like to hear Dianne explain herself and why she's kept these secrets from the American people. I'm guessing she was born into it because Freemasonry is a club for men. What man in her life was pulling the strings for? Was it the father? Some other family member? Dianne can come clean.
You have reached the maximum time allowed to make your recording. To review or re-record your message, press 1. To mark your message urgent, press 2. To mark your message private, press 3. To send your message marked urgent. To review or re-record your message, press 1. To remove the urgent status of this message, press 2. To mark your message private, press 3. To send your message as is, press the pound key. Your message has been sent. To send a message to another subscriber, enter the area code and phone number of that subscriber, or press the star key to enter your own mailbox.
Well, I guess that's the end. It's been sent. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. There's even more to talk about, but that's enough for today. Today's technically podcast number 2 because the first one was a troll factory that didn't pull the plug on soon enough. Let me just check the chat here before I say goodbye. Thanks for all the likes. Nice to see that many thumbs up. Crystal says, not enough thumbs up, but I'm impressed, actually. 155 compared to the amount of people here. That's a pretty good ratio. That's better than normal. I'm used to logging on, seeing like 400 people watching and 30 likes. I'm like, wow, this presentation must really suck. Will I cover the email hack of the National Republican Congressional Committee back in April? Okay, I missed that news story. I will look into it. Do we have a more specific date than April? Thanks for the compliments, you guys. I'm definitely not God. I'm just a man. But I do appreciate the nice comments. I'll take a call. If somebody wants to call in, I'll take a call. It's 4:30 right now. I got to get off here at 4:45. So we'll do 15 minutes of calls if you guys want. 509-731-0567. There was actually somebody who called in before I got on this live stream that had a private conversation. He just found my work and he had a bunch of questions. I actually wish I had him on the phone for a live stream. He had good questions. Hi, Tampa. You're on.
Hello?
You're on, caller.
Yeah, I just noticed that I put in Pat Melton, that lady you were talking about. It comes out close to communist.
Does it? Well, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to remind people, all of us have numbers for our name, and without any track record or evidence, you can't really accuse anyone of being anything just from their name, Gematria. I have a feeling she's an ordinary person who just didn't like me because I don't like Trump, but you just never know.
10-4. Hey, I noticed another thing on the ciphers. Everything equals 9.
Well, okay, I know what you're saying here. Here, I'm going to explain what I'm going to put the word Meyer up on the screen and explain what you're seeing. So everyone understands this. The word okay. Here's what you can know. If a word, oh shoot, did I just switch the line?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, all right, good. I thought I hit the wrong button. Okay. So if a word has 9 Gematria value in any 4 of the base ciphers, if any value sums to a number that breaks down to 9, so like 72 with the alphabetic order is what Meyer equals. 72 in numerology is 7 plus 2 is 9. If in any cipher it sums to 9 in the base ciphers, they're all going to sum to 9. And here, let me explain why that is. I'm just going to put in the letter A. A has a value of 1 with the alphabetic order. With the reverse alphabetic order, it's 26. And 26 in numerology is 2 plus 6 is 8, right? So 1 plus 8 for the forward ciphers are 1, the reverse ciphers are 8. 1 plus 8 is 9. Follow? B is the second letter, but in reverse, B is 25, which in numerology breaks down to 2 plus 5 is 7. So it's the same thing for each letter. C is 3, but in reverse it's 24, which breaks down to 6. The forward and reverse cipher are always going to add to a numerology value that breaks down to 9, which is also true for 9, because 9 plus 9 is 18, and then the numerology of 18 is 1 plus 8 is 9. So there's a mathematical relationship between the two ciphers, and 9 is the glue that connects all of it. That's why 9 is considered one of the most special numbers in numerology.
Right. Yeah, I was just noticing that, and Gematria wouldn't work without 26 letters. Then would it? If you couldn't do it with 27 or any other number, then would it work? It wouldn't work.
Well, it would be completely different. You could still have a system that worked in a certain way, but it wouldn't work the way we're looking at it. So
yeah, it wouldn't come out to 9 though, and everything comes out to 9, like the music, the 432 hertz. If you put A at 432 hertz, every other music number comes out to a letter, or comes out to numbers that equal 9. So I was just noticing that.
yeah, good observation. You're right. So that I think that's part of the reason that the alphabet is 26 letters, to make this system work the way it does. So good eyes, friend.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
All right. You have a good one. Take care.
Yeah.
All right. We got another caller.
Okay, thanks.
You got, caller, you're on. You got to mute your video.
Come on, I'm on. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Hey, do I have 2 minutes of your time?
You do.
All right. So I want to give you constructive criticism, brother. Okay?
Please, I'm listening.
I've been following you for close to 5 or 6 years. I'm originally from Israel. Okay, and I live in the States. I've been living here for about 25, 26 years. I'm 51 years old, and I wanna just give you this little story, okay? Once upon a time, in the near future, that is, the entire world got together, and they figured out that everything that's going wrong in the world is because of the Jews, okay? So they gave the Jews a year to leave planet Earth. So all the smart Jewish people got together and they built this giant spaceship. And 1 year to the day, they loaded all the Jews from all over the world and they went to the moon. Okay, you with me?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
They went to the moon. The first year, a lot of people died. Second year, they started to get an atmosphere going on. And then things started to go shitty on planet Earth. You know, all the agriculture was bad. There was bad food, bad medicine, bad everything. 5 years into it, the moon was flourishing, started to get green. There's a lot of shit going on. You know, people doing great stuff. There's no more death. Everything's going good. 10 years into it, the moon is crazy. There's an atmosphere. There's all kinds of great stuff going on. Meanwhile, Earth is turning into shit. And all they could do is, hey, let's get together and figure out what's going wrong with Earth. You know, ever since the Jews left, everything's going wrong. Let's bomb the moon. Okay, so where I'm going with this, man, you know, like I said, I've been following you for 5 or 6 years. I really like you. I think you're a very nice guy. You know, I mean, we all got our moments where we lose our shit and we go crazy and we don't want to talk to stupid people. I get it, you know. But where I'm going with this is like, what I want to know from you is, I bought your book. And like, you know, the third chapter, I read about the long-nosed people, and it kind of hurt my feelings because obviously I'm a Hebrew and I got a long nose. Sorry, you know. But like, what you're doing is you're trying to wake people up, and I appreciate it very much. And you know, and I like to think of myself as somebody that's awake. And I get what you're saying about Trump, and I get what you're saying about the rest of the things that you're saying. You know, I'm with you on most of the things. But what about Israeli people that gonna listen to your work, and you know, and Jewish people that's gonna listen to you talking and saying all these things? Okay, so like, I get hurt by your words sometimes. But I'm a grown up, and you know, I'm also, I understand that there's some bad fucking Jews around the world. Yeah, I get it, you know, I get it. But there's bad people in every society, you know. There's bad Christian people. There's a lot of bad fucking Muslim people in the world. There's a lot of bad of everything. But you seem to like direct your arrows at the Jews 24/7. Let me say again, all these people that run our world and they're Jewish, they are very bad people. I get that shit, okay? I get it. I agree with you. I understand. But how come you're not talking about the Vatican that owns so much fucking money?
Okay, can I interject for a moment?
Yes.
Okay, because I know I gave you at least 2 minutes. So you know what? When I edit my book, I'm going to take out the long nose parts because I actually feel bad that I put it in there. So fair criticism. I don't know how far you made in my book, but I do go after the Vatican and the Jesuits, so I definitely do that. And you are making a fair point. It's not just the Jews, and I've never said it's just the Jews. And, you know, your analogy there that if all the Jews left for the moon and they made it a great place and, you know, things would still be crappy on Earth, I don't disagree with you. There's a lot of terrible people from all sects. But look, here's what I want to say to you. Do you disagree that if there's any group of people in this world, if there's any group of people, there's so many people trying to call in right now. I just have to keep hitting mute. Sorry. But if there's any group of people in this world that have mass influence over the world, is it any group other than the Jews? And here's my statement behind that. Who else is controlling the media? I don't know what has more influence over people in this world than media. Who has more control over that? And, you know, just with that right there, is there any group of people that are having more influence? Because to me, it's the media that is the god of the masses and which is leading people astray. It's constant negativity, it's constant fear, it's constant hate, it's constant division. And, you know, Hollywood reinforces all of these terrible things. And we know who runs Hollywood. Now, I've said many times, I know if you follow me for this long, you've heard me say many times, it's not all Jews. I'm talking about a certain group. But
yes, I heard that. Yes.
Okay, so who's having more influence than them, or if it is somebody else, please do say, or for where I'm mistaken somewhere, please do say, because I'm going to listen to you. I do appreciate that you called in.
Okay. So what? Here, let me say this to you. Okay, you know what you're doing is you're using Jewish technology. Okay, we both understand that the Gematria and Kabbalah is coming from Jewish technology, Jewish knowledge.
I agree.
Okay, but let me just say this: we're all family, brother. Okay, and Zach, I really appreciate what you're doing, and I listened to you one day, and you were talking about a kid that you were teaching, and you started crying, and I was like, wow, this guy is real. This guy's fucking real. He's not bullshitting. He's not some paid off person that does this shit, whatever, I feel you, brother. I feel that you're a genuine person. I feel that what you're doing, and you want to wake up the people of the world, and I'm all for it, I'm all for it, and I hope that it does happen, and I hope that people do wake up and see that the human family is the one that's suffering the most. It's not the rich people on top that controls everything. And yes, you're right about the world of the media. Yes, the media is pretty much owned by Jewish people. But who's to say that they're real Jews? Who's to say that these people? You're saying, oh, what other group of people? What about Freemasons, dude? What about Freemasonry? Fucking rules this planet. They rule this planet.
But isn't Freemasonry essentially an extension of Judaism? I mean, most of their teachings come from the old.
No, I don't see that.
No?
I don't see that. I grew up in Israel. I don't see any Freemasonry shit in Israel. I mean, yeah.
Their whole thing's based in Solomon's temple. Solomon's temple.
Huh?
Almost all their secrets are based in Solomon's temple. I mean, who's Solomon?
Well, of course. I mean, yes, but does it make them Jewish people? I don't. If I go into that one street in New York City, the headquarters of Freemasonry is the Israeli guy. They're gonna let me in, and they're gonna be, oh yeah, you're one of us. I mean, no, they're gonna treat me like I'm a dirtbag. They're gonna treat me like I'm shit. They don't fucking care that I'm an Israeli or a Jew. I don't think that in the Second World War, where America was giving fuel to Hitler, they gave a shit about the Jews that gave Hitler gasoline for their plane, gave a shit about the Jewish people or Israel or the Hebrews. I don't think so. I think that the people that runs our world are, regardless what they believe in or what religion they are, I don't think that George Soros is a Jew. I think George Soros is a fucking asshole. Okay, and I feel the same about all the high people that runs our planet, and at the end of the day, the human family is getting hurt, and we're all family. If it doesn't matter if you're black or white or American or British or Muslim, it doesn't fucking matter. We're all the same family, and our fight, the fight that you're talking about, the war that you want to put together, is against the very people that are hurting you and me as individuals, as the common people. We are the common people of the world. We are the salt of the earth. We should be together. We should join together as family to fight the tyrants that runs our world and put us in the shit that we are. I didn't want to be a soldier. I had to be a soldier. You think I liked it? I fucking hated every second of it. I thought it was bullshit. I called God, and I was like, why am I here? Why should I be doing this shit? And God told me, If you don't want to be here, leave. So I took God's advice and I left. Okay, I'm just giving you something to understand. I think basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make you understand that certain things you're saying are bad for you. I mean, if you're gonna keep saying, "Oh, Jewish people doing this collective punishment is bullshit." Okay.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me respond again. I'm letting you talk a lot. I appreciate your calling in and voicing your opinion because I feel like you're the other side of the coin, and I don't get the other side of the coin on my channel a lot. There's a lot of people asking me in the chat to hang up on you, but I don't want to do that because you're speaking your mind, and that's just fine. But look, you did agree with me that the poison's coming from the media, and the media is controlled by, mostly Jewish interests. Now, again, it's not all Jews, and I am clear about what I say. I'm going after the media. That's the main thing I'm going after. I see my enemy as the media and the federal government, and you know what? Both of those things serve Jewish interests before any other group of people, and I think you'll even admit to that because you seem pretty straight up. Now, I'm not saying that I want to go after all Jews, and I have plenty of Jewish people that follow me, and they understand my words, and it seems like you do, but you're also saying that maybe I'm still a little bit too harsh and maybe I'm too much focused on the Jewish element, but that is the controlling element of the entities that I'm going after. So hold on. I'm going to let you talk, but just here's something else I want you to answer. Look, the Talmud exists, and it says that, when the Jewish Messiah arrives, there'll be 2,800 Goyim slave, and it says that, Goyim aren't humans, they're a subclass, they're an animal species because they're too dumb. And these texts do exist in the world, and it's not that every Jewish person believes in them or holds those beliefs true, but there are some that do. And these types of things create resentment. And you know what, man? I've met some Jewish people in this world that really rub me the wrong way, maybe more wrongly than any other group of people who.
You need to meet me because you and I will become friends right away, and I can guarantee you're gonna love me as a human being. But let me say something about Talmud. Talmud came from Babylon. Okay? Talmud is not a Jewish practice. Talmud came from Babylon. I've been wanting to say this to you for years.
Isn't that the oldest home of the Jews?
No. What, Babylon?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Israel is. Egypt to begin with, and then they went to Israel, then they got kicked out of Israel 1,000 fucking times, and they had to run away to all the other countries so they can stay alive.
I'm going to do some more research then. I've read many different sources that Babylon is the oldest home of the Jews.
No, it's not. No,
okay,
it's not.
I'm going to take.
Jewish people started in Egypt.
I believe you. I'm going to assume that I've read bad information, but I'm going to do some more research on it because I've read that all over the place.
No, but dude, again, I really love you, and I think you're an awesome person. My advice to you is every time you're talking about Jewish people, say the so-called Jews. How's that? I hate the word Jew because I'm a Hebrew. Okay? When somebody called me a Jew, I feel like I'm weak or something. And I'm not. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a strong man. I believe in God. I believe in good. I believe in love. I believe in and how to make the world a better place. And I'm 51 years old, and I see all this shit that's going on around the world, and I'm like blown away. I'm blown away that somebody that's smart like you kind of like missing a few it's like you're driving on this road, but there's like a little turn over here, and you completely ignore it, and you continue to go straight when you need to make that left turn and be like, oh, wait a second, it's not all the Jews that are bad. I shouldn't be saying that. I shouldn't do this collective punishment. It's like, okay, we made it clear that I'm a Hebrew, and let me just be an asshole for a second and say this to you, because you're an American, right? So let me say this to you. Hey, your country gave weapon to ISIS, and ISIS went into Syria, and they fucking killed millions of people, and all these babies were murdered, and all these babies disappear. So should I blame it on you as Mr. America? No, because America gave ISIS the weapon? No, right? That would be a stupid thing to do, because it is stupid. So what I'm saying is, if you so-called Jews, then call them the so-called Jews. Because as a Hebrew and as a Jew, okay, and I'm from Israel. Again, I'm not some fucking New York Jew that just wants to be buried in Israel. So when the Messiah comes, he's gonna sprinkle some shit on his grave and he's gonna come back to life.
Oh, no. Okay, here. Okay.
I'm a real Hebrew. So what I'm saying to you is, we, the Hebrews, are good people. We don't want to fight nobody. We don't want war. We just want to live our life. And yes, there is some bad Jews in the world. Yes, but there's bad people in every society. And yes, the Jews control the diamonds. They control the banking system. Yeah, they control Hollywood and the media. Of course, that's, you got to be blind not to see that shit. Am I happy about it? No. Am I yay, the Jews control the fucking world? No, I'm not happy about it. If they're doing good things, then cool. If they're doing bad things, fuck them. I don't give a shit what they are. If they're Jews, Christians, Muslims, I don't care. I just don't want you to lose people because of that particular thing that you're saying. Instead of saying Jews, say the so-called Jews, because our religion does not give us permission to be assholes, okay? And I'm not a religious person. I'm very far from being a religious person. I'm married. I'm not married to a Jew, and according to whatever bullshit law, I'm gonna go to hell for that. I don't give a shit. I love my wife, and it's all good.
Okay, I got to interject real quick. So I often do say the false Jews. That's often what I do say.
Yes.
And
I'd like you to just use that word more, okay? Because I want to expose your work to my Israeli friends, and I did. Dude, my wife is not Israeli. She's not even Jewish, and she's like, why the fuck are you listening to this guy that hates Jewish people all the time? And I'm like, I think you're misunderstanding him. He doesn't hate Jews. He's got a problem with Jews, but I don't think you hate Jews, but I'm just giving you an example. Basically, what I'm trying to do here, brother, is I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to
Okay. I'm supposed to get off already. I'm giving you extra time because I have to go do something before I have to do something else tonight. Here's what I want to ask you real quick.
Yes.
You're claiming to be a true Hebrew. Now,
Yes.
From reading the Bible, there's a physical description of the real Hebrews. And what is it?
Yeah, I know where you're going with this. Woolly hair and dark skin. You want me to take a picture of myself and send it to you?
Well, maybe you do. No. I'm just asking. I mean, is that who the true Hebrews are?
It's curly hair. Curly hair works out for you. I'm kind of brownish, and I got curly hair. And you know what? I consider myself a Hebrew. Okay. I consider myself a Hebrew. I know where you're going with this. And yes, there's a lot of white Jewish people that came from Europe, and how about the Khazars? What do you know about the Khazars?
Well, they're the false ones.
Yes, so there you go. So who runs the fucking world? They do. Okay? Who's in war with them for eons? The Rothschild. How about that? Dig into that shit. Find that stuff.
Well, that's what we do talk about.
I'm a musician. I'm exposing myself big time right now, but I don't give a shit. One time, I had somebody from the R family come to my fucking gig, dude. And at that point in time, I was going on Facebook and putting my opinion about how the world works and who's running the world and who owns everything and da-da-da-da-da-da. And this guy showed up and he's like, hey, I really love what you're doing here. When I saw your name in the newspaper, I had to come see you because you Israelis, you motherfuckers, whatever you touch turned to gold. At the end of the gig, I figured out why he came over, and I figured out why he was there, and he actually fucking told me too. He's like, dude, you need to shut the fuck up. You need to stop saying the words that you're saying, and stop talking about the elite that runs the world. It's got nothing to do with you. Just stay away from it. So there you go. I'm sure you get attacked by people like that too because you're exposing a lot of stuff. I'm sure you do. And all I'm trying to do is try to help you out and try to kind of give you a guideline here that by blaming certain people in the world is gonna make you look bad, and I don't want you to look bad. I think you're doing great stuff, and sometimes I gotta be honest with you, bro. I worry about you sometimes because
hold on, man. Don't. There's reason to worry, but I don't worry myself. I don't live with fear. But look, In my book, I'm clear. I say I'm going after the false Jews. This isn't an attack on all Jews. I'm pretty clear usually when I speak. I don't have any notes when I speak. I've never had a note in a single video I've made. But so I don't know. It seems like, I mean, you're saying things that, like, if you understand that I clarify that as the false Jews, then I don't know why you're making some of the other remarks you are. But I haven't heard you. Look, we've gone over time. I just got to ask you one more thing before we sign off here.
Okay.
Dancing Israelis on 9/11. What should I make of it?
Okay, dancing Israelis in 9/11. Let's put it this way: there's all these intelligence forces around the world. Okay, those intelligence forces belongs to those very people that we're talking about, the people that owns the world. Okay, so if we're talking about the Mossad or the CIA or the MI6 or whatever, all these things, you know, they're not owned by like a country. They're owned by those very people. And if they decided to bring down a World Trade Center, which I believe was complete fucking inside job, you know, and if they decided to do that for, you know, and all the reasons are in our face. Okay, so the dancing Israelis, I don't know that Israelis have anything to do with it. I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. I find it hard to believe that Israel would attack the United States.
Aren't there Khazars all over Israel? Isn't Israel full of Khazars?
If they're full of Khazars, you mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say full of them, but
they're there.
Yeah, they're everywhere. I mean, you can't get rid of them. They're there, you know?
Right. And there's a lot of them here in the United States, too. There's more here in the United States than anywhere in the world.
Look, the majority of planet Earth's problem, here's where I want you to go, okay? Like, if you go deep in our far history, okay, the British people ruled every country of this world. You know, that would be a good standpoint for you to start digging into who runs the world and how money is influencing everything, you know? But the British people, they invaded into every orifice of this planet. Every place they went, they stole artifacts. They embedded their religious beliefs in native people and stuff. And for some kind of weird reason, nobody's really pointing this out. You know, like they took over the United States, and then they made this deal that on every American born, 5% of the income tax goes to the Vatican, 5% goes to the British Empire. Nobody's pointing this shit out. You know, it's like, oh yeah, let's blame the Jews. You know,
but who runs those entities at the end of the day? Who controls both of those entities?
Who controls them?
Right.
I don't know, but it's not Israel. If that's
well, it's not Israel, but it's the same people who are in Israel.
Who? The Israeli people?
The false ones. That's their operation. The Vatican is their operation. They've been around longer than the Vatican.
Zach, check this out. Check this out for a second. The people that runs this world, they're the synagogue of Satan. This is not the fucking Jewish people, okay? The people that run this world has nothing to do with the Israeli people or the people in the government of Israel. The people in the government of Israel is just like Trump. It's just like Obama. They're all employees. They're doing what they're told. And if they're not going to do what they're told, they're going to figure themselves out, okay? So all the people that run our world, and I'm not talking about politicians, I'm talking about those trillionaires. It's not even billionaires or millionaires, it's trillionaires. And they're the ones who run the world. They're the one who have the key to planet Earth. And they're the, you know, like one thing I'm seeing clear as a bell, I'm seeing a huge thing coming up, you know? I mean, the whole Freemasonry plan of making the Jews fight the Arabs
the third temple, yeah, that's exactly what the plan is. Donald Trump and King Cyrus on the coin. Caller, I got to wrap this up because I have to get off. I'm 15 minutes over. I appreciate the conversation that you called in. You can always call me back, man. You know I do this almost every day.
I want us to be friends, okay? Don't hang up and talk shit about me now, because you know
I'm not going to. I appreciate you called in. You let your voice be heard. You're a little bit redundant. I mean, you said a lot of the same things over, but it's fine. You're getting your point out there. But you can always call back. I'll be here again, man. So
I'll call you back. I'll call you back. You know, I kind of want to have a conversation with you off the line so we can be friends and not like, you know, I don't want you to think bad things about me. I'm a supporter of Zachary, okay? and I believe in what you're doing. Again, I think you're using Jewish technology, so don't talk shit about the Jewish stuff because it's just not cool, man. I want Jewish people to listen to you. I want to expose your work in Israel. I want my Israeli friends to be like, holy shit, this guy got something going on. You know, he's got some knowledge that nobody else is bringing to the table.
Okay. Before we end, then, okay, I just want real simply. I don't want a long response. There should just be a simple thing you should be able to say. If you agree that the enemy of the people is the media, and the media is largely under the control of the fake Jews, then who am I supposed to be speaking against?
Then speak against the fake Jews.
Well, that's what I do.
But don't call them Jews.
Okay, I won't. I won't. I won't.
If they were Jews, they wouldn't be doing shit like that.
Got it. I appreciate your call, and you made the point, and now I will remember even more to speak clearly. So thank you for that. You have a good night, friend. All right, you take care.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So, yeah, sometimes I'm not clear when I speak, but I mean, I think you guys know what I mean. I mean, I wrote a book about it. I normally say that. Sometimes I forget to put the fake in front. But, you know, I think most of the people we call Jewish and Jews are fake Jews. And I couldn't see that guy with my own eyes, but okay. I really got to get off, but this person must really want to say something. What's up, Texas? Texas?
Yep.
You're on. You're on, Texas.
Hey, Zach. How you doing, Zach?
I'm doing all right. I got to get off, but I'm going to let you get your voice in.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at a lot here about Bush dying and all that. I'm an airline pilot. I know about the chemtrails and I know about all that. And I see them all the time. When we talk to my fellow coworkers, like with the Bush, with the fires, and they're like, well, it's fire season. They don't know about this. They don't know nothing about this. So it gets me kind of picked up. People don't realize what's going on, you know? Now that Bush is there, I try to talk about him with Bush, what he did and what he can do. And they're thinking about, you know, celebrating his death, you know?
Right.
So all these kind of things that people don't realize, if we're farther in what's going on, and all these people going to celebrate his death when 9/11 was what's going on right here with your what you're doing is all about 9/11 because you started because you realized what happened after 9/11, you know. And if you think about it, as an airline pilot, how does the guy hijack an airplane? You know, he killed probably 3 flight attendants, and he gets on the cockpit and manipulates the aircraft like he knows how to fly it when he's never flown in 172 in his life, you know?
Right.
And then he comes down at a speed so fast that the plane would disintegrate, but he controls the plane perfectly. He levels off at 50 feet off the ground. You can't even do that if you have like 10,000 hours of flight experience, you know?
I understand, you know, right.
And then he throttles up, he speeds up so fast that the Pentagon plane disintegrates. You can't do that. I mean, if you throttle up at that altitude, the plane goes up. You can't pitch. You can't pitch for that. You know.
Right.
How do people? And then I talk to fellow pilots about this, and they're all, no, you can do this. People just don't realize it, even though they work in the field. People just don't get it because they're trying to avoid admitting it, and they don't admit it how many years after the fact, and it still goes on with the fires, like the fires. Hey, look at the fires, and we're all like, well, it's the fire season. I'm like, what?
People just make excuses. It's like everybody denies all the lessons from physics on 9/11. It's like physics never existed on that day. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even people that don't fly,
with the logical sense would be, just, I mean, I was looking at your caller right now, and people just go into a lot of things, but they don't speak. You got to go the main point, and that's it. That's it. And the facts. And facts. And now we're celebrating the man's death.
It's sick. We're celebrating evil. So, the call dropped, but yeah, he's right on. I mean, we're celebrating evil, and that's pretty much what I've seen has been going on in this nation from a young age. It's like we celebrate all the wrong things. Our society hates on all the right things. It's like if you're into truth, you're a conspiracy theorist. If you're into eating healthy and caring about the planet, you're a peace-loving tree nick or whatever they call you. It's just like, yeah, everything's backwards. We're upside down as a society. So I got to log off. I'm 20 minutes overtime. I will be back tomorrow. Until next time, Truth Seeker.